Hi everyone, welcome to my very first video, Mums and Murder. My name's Ruth and I am a mum. I'm a mum for beautiful girls from 14 down till 2. I love true crime and I find it very interesting. It's how I relax. I know how that sounds. So if you're a mum and you like true crime and you like to relax along too, please come on this journey with me. You can give me cases, I'll gladly research them for you and tell you as much detail as I can find out, hopefully, and hopefully you'll enjoy it just as much as I do. So yeah, grab 15 minutes. Hopefully we'll get peace and quiet. It is a Saturday afternoon, but I think everybody's chilling at the minute in my house. So yeah, let's get stuck in to my very first video. So I thought for my first video, why not just take it right the way back to the start? And that's what I did. I researched the very first, who's classed as the very first serial killer, and his name was Gillies de Rais. I am going to start apologising now for how I pronounce all of these French names. It won't be good, but bear with me, please. So Gillies was born in 1404 on September 4th. He was born to parents Guy and Marie. It is said that he was a very smart, very intelligent child. He knew Latin fluently and could go through manuscripts in Latin, no problemos. When he was around 10 or 11, in and around, both of his parents unfortunately died. His mother, cause of death unknown. His father was tragically killed in a hunting accident, which is said to have been witnessed by Gillies. So that's traumatic for any parent today. Two parents today, horrific, and then to be witness to one of them in a hunting accident kind of plays with your head a little bit, I would imagine. Traumatic experience for any child to see or to go through. Perhaps it has something to do with events later on down the line. I don't know, but I'll let you decide. So once Gillies had buried his mother and father, he was taken in by his grandfather, Jean de Crayon. Again, I apologise. So Jean, once Gillies came of age, tried to arrange many marriages to wealthy women, and Gillies, no, not having it, no, not for me. And then one finally stuck, and her name was Catherine de Thoris, I think, of Brittany, and she was an heiress, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce them. She was an heiress, so that boosted Gillies de Rais' finances and fortune quite a bit. He had quite a number of properties. We'll get into that a little bit later on. So Gillies went on to have a military career. He had a glowing military career. He worked very hard. He was a very good soldier. He was companion to Joan of Arc during her battles, which meant he was there to look after Joan of Arc. He was actually personally asked to do that by the Dauphin, who is the eldest son of the king, and then that son went on to be Charles VII. So yeah, he in all respects was very well respected. He did his job very well. He actually then got promoted to Lord and Marshal of France, which is like the highest that you can go in your military career in France in the 1400s. I'm not sure now, but that's what it was then. So yeah, he really pushed the boat. He went above and beyond, which, because he was such an intelligent child, I imagine that nobody thought that he would be any different as an adult. So unfortunately, Joan of Arc passed, was captured. A year after her capture, his grandfather died, and as a punishment to Gillies, his grandfather left his sword and breastplate to his younger brother, as punishment for foolishly wasting money. What can I say? His grandfather had it right. His grandfather had it right. He wasted money, so he left it to his younger brother. Gillies, he wanted a lavish lifestyle. When he left the military, when he retired from the military, he decided that he was going to have a decadent lifestyle, and so he spent money on servants, plays, music, poets, literature. He wanted to put on a 150 person play about Joan of Arc, but it cost too much money, and so he was trying to sell off all his properties, but that was put a stop to by the king, and he wasn't no longer allowed to sell off properties for that. It is thought then that Gillies in around this time got heavily involved in the occult, and he would hire sorcerers, alchemists, and he would try and summon demons to have financial gain. He actually provided a contract for a demon named Baron, and when no demon appeared, he then heard that if you sacrifice a child's soul, the demon will appear and you will get financial fortune. And this is what he did. He found a child. In fact, I think he found a couple of children to do this with. He dismembered their bodies and put their limbs in glass jars and gave them as an offering to the demon Baron. But of course the demon did not appear, and therefore there was no financial gain for Gillies. However, this didn't stop Gillies on his secretive life. Secretive but not so secretive. He had an inner circle, and the inner circle were in it with him. His servants would go out, they would find children, they would bring the children back to him in his properties so that he could murder them, torture them, rape them, bathe in their blood. And that's what he did. He got children. He took them in, or the servants just went and found them and kidnapped them. He would hang them up by their wrists above their head on a hook. He would torture them. He would rape them, and then he would murder them. He would then sit on some of their stomachs while they died. Horrific. And he would then dismember their bodies, it is said that he would admire their organs, he would pull their organs out and admire them. He would also rape their dead bodies, and it has been rumoured, obviously it's the 1400s and we have no evidence to go, except what I have searched, that he used to keep heads as trophies, and from time to time he would kiss certain heads as he went along, so dead children's heads. Children went missing, parents were too afraid of Gillies because of his social status, because of fear, that they were so afraid to confront him, to report this. I read one where it said that Gillies' cousin found a 12-year-old boy who had been begging near his house, and the cousin took the boy in, and the boy was never seen or heard from again. So he wasn't in it on his own. There's also stories of him bringing boys in, dressing them in beautiful lavish clothing, food and drink, and giving them all this, then taking the boy up the stairs into his private area, which wasn't just for Gillies. He had an inner circle that were also allowed in. Now, if you weren't in the inner circle, you didn't get in, but the inner circle, they were allowed in. And it's the look, apparently, on the child's face once, the shock, once they knew what was actually happening to them, filled Gillies with joy and just satisfaction. And you know what? Who knows how many adults joined in this process, and how many just stood there watching? Who does that? It's a little child, and it is rumoured that some were as young as 6. Also rumoured that it was mainly boys, although there was some girls that he took, but it's just, ugh. So this went on for like 9 years, and then Gillies made a mistake. He kidnapped a clerk, and this drew the attention of the bishop, and the bishop then launched an investigation to see what had obviously happened to the clerk, and during the investigation it unravelled everything else. So he had an argument with the clerk, kidnapped him, murdered him, threw him out. So while looking for the clerk, they came across, I think, 40 so bodies of children that Gillies had murdered. So that's then when he was arrested and brought in, and he gave eventually a full confession, and his servants and surrounding villages servants gave witness and testimony to the fact that yes, this is what happened. Children were kidnapped, things happened, we disposed of bodies. A lot of the children were actually cremated, so there's no definitive number. It is ranging from that 40 that they definitely know about till some say 600. That's crazy. That's like nearly a whole village of people, if not more. So yeah, he gave confession. There was witness, and he was found guilty. And on the 26th of October, he was hung and burnt to death, which rightly so, because that's what he deserved. Now they did take his body down before it completely turned to ash. But he was burnt and hung to death, which is what he deserved. Now, later on down the line, recent studies. So obviously at the time everybody's like, he's guilty, he is so guilty, he confessed to it, there was witnesses, they confessed to it, But later on down the line, recent studies were performed on the trial, and it is said that he gave a confession under duress, under torture, under fear of social status being removed. So he just confessed, so that he wouldn't be taken away from, he wouldn't be shunned, I suppose, by his high class, high rolling society friends. And so he confessed. This is what they're saying. He was forced into confession. And also the person, or the judge, I suppose, that was overseeing the trial, the Duke of Brittany, he stood to gain all of Gillies' titles and deeds when he was found guilty. So they're also saying that that was high corruption, and this is why he was found guilty. There is no real evidence to connect Gillies to these children, because his servants obviously went out and sought children out or brought them in and offered them a job. But there is some connection there, you know, you can't deny it. The connection's there. But I'm not a professional. So. They then reenacted the whole scenario from start to finish. They brought members of parliament in, and judges and solicitors and things like that. And they did the whole thing from start to finish. And surprisingly, they found him not guilty in a recent court, which obviously it doesn't matter, but that's what they're now trying to say, that actually he wasn't guilty of these crimes, that there was so many other leading factors, corruption, that he was just made a scapegoat. But I don't think that that's the case. I think a lot of evidence points towards him. A lot of, you know, he hired sorcerers, he hired alchemists, he provided a contract to summon a demon for financial gain, he provided that demon with a child's soul, or children's souls. It was multiple children. He kept trophies. He had there was other people with him doing this. Yes, absolutely. But it was mainly him. And yeah, parents will never hear from their children again. They won't know what happened. Their children were burnt. They were cremated. They never got to give them a proper burial, say a proper goodbye. He took lives. And the whole story is just so sad. You know, he could have ended his story with a nice eased retirement after his military career, because his military career was glowing. And he would be as much remembered for that military career as much as he is now remembered for killing children, for being a serial killer, a paedophile, a necrophiliac, you know, all these things. It's just so sad overall. You know, as a parent, I find that your child just goes. You never see them again. What the heck? But that is the story of Gillies de Rais, and I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed it. I hope that you join me for my next video. So yeah, give me a little like, and I shall see you again next Saturday. Bye for now.